Okay, we're jumping straight into a deep dive today. We're going to unpack one of the most intellectually compelling rivalries in music history, actually. We're tracking the subliminal, really sophisticated battle for the throne of King of New York. This is 1990s East Coast hip-hop, and it's mainly between the Notorious B.I.G. and Nas.
Right.
Now, most people, they remember the big headlines, the tragic, explosive East Coast, West Coast beef.
Yeah, that dominated everything.
Exactly. But kind of under the radar, there was this completely different kind of conflict happening. Biggie versus Nas. And it was fought almost entirely with, lyrical skill, intricate subtext.
It really was. It's almost like a masterclass in subtlety.
Totally.
And to get why this mattered so much, you really have to understand the symbolic weight of that title. King of New York.
Yeah.
In the mid-90s, the golden era, that wasn't just like a catchy phrase. It meant you were the top lyricist, the absolute master storyteller. You had the street credibility.
You commanded respect. It wasn't just about record sales.
Yeah. Not at all. It was the crown, basically. Proving you were supreme.
Yeah. So, right, high-stakes chess, not checkers, like you said. So our plan is to trace this whole thing right from the beginning, 1994, when they both just exploded onto the scene. Then through the sort of hidden attacks, buried in album tracks, and, well, finally to how it ended, which was devastatingly and tragically incomplete.
Yeah.
So 1994, that's our starting point, a year that just instantly changed everything for East Coast lyricism.
Oh, definitely.
Within 6 months, you get these 2 debut albums, monumental stuff. And right away, Biggie and Nas are seen as these generational talents. They weren't just playing the game. They were rewriting the rules.
And Nas, he was kind of the vanguard there. His debut, Illmatic, dropped April 94.
Right.
Now, it wasn't this massive commercial hit right out of the gate, but critically, wow, hailed as a masterpiece, instantly.
Yeah, I remember that.
Nas, coming from Queensbridge houses, he gave us this incredibly raw, poetic picture of inner city life, almost like journalism. His whole thing was complex wordplay, these dense, multi-layered stories. He just, boom, raised the bar for technical skill overnight.
And then Biggie follows up, 5 months later, September 94, Ready to Die, through Bad Boy Records. And this album hit both.
Yeah.
Critical acclaim and massive commercial success. You had Juicy, Big Papa, huge singles.
Huge.
But where Nas was maybe the technical poet, Biggie was this incredibly compelling narrator. Really relatable, taking you through this whole life story in Brooklyn, birth to potentially death, vivid stuff.
And right there, that's where the first seeds of conflict get planted. And it was pretty high stakes, the album cover controversy.
Ah, yes. The covers.
Yeah. So Nas's Illmatic had that black and white photo of him as a little kid. People read a lot into that, lost innocence, that kind of thing.
Right.
Then Biggie's Ready to Die comes out.
Yeah.
And it's got this conceptual photo, an African-American baby, afro, visually representing the start of his story.
And because Biggie's came second, the accusations started flying almost immediately.
Yeah.
That he was biting Nas's concept. Using baby pictures.
Yep.
Now, we really need to stress this for listeners, maybe not steeped in 90s hip-hop culture. Biting, that's incredibly serious. It's not just, oh, he copied me.
Oh, absolutely not. It was fundamental. In that whole era, lack of originality was the ultimate sin.
Right.
To bite meant you were stealing someone's unique style, their flow, their whole concept. It wasn't a minor criticism. It was a direct hit on your credibility, your legitimacy. Originality was everything.
And what's interesting, looking back at the source material, is the timing. Illmatic drops in April, Ready to Die in September. Could Biggie really have seen Nas's cover, consciously stolen the idea, finalized his own art, and got it out that fast?
That's the question, isn't it? It seems tight. Maybe it was more of a coincidence, reflecting similar themes of youth and hardship floating around at the time.
Could be.
But here's the thing. Whether he actually copied him almost doesn't matter as much as the perception. That perception alone was enough to fuel the fire, especially among fans, other artists. And the tension, it definitely got noticed. We actually see a reference, a pretty direct one, to biters. Shark Den's Biters, in a skit on the Wu-Tang affiliated album Only Built for Cuban Links in 95.
Oh, wow, okay.
And Nas was on that skit, so that timing, that connection, it just kept the whole controversy buzzing.
So the cover art, it plants these seeds of doubt, maybe some tension, and by 1996, the competition moves, it leaves the visual discussion and lands right on the microphone.
Exactly. The competitive spirit shifts from subtle visual cues to actual lyrical attacks, still veiled though. Still subliminal.
Okay, so let's unpack this. 1996, Nas is dropping his second album, It Was Written.
Right. And it's a different sound, definitely more polished commercially, leaning into that mafioso rap thing that was big then.
Yeah, the Escobar persona.
Exactly. But the real moment, the spark, comes on the track. The message. Now, it's not like an all-out diss track.
Like there's that line.
There's that line, delivered with just pure confidence. There's one life, one love, so there can only be one king.
Boom.
And the genius of it is how it plays on things people knew, one love, that's common hip-hop philosophy, but he weaponizes it.
Right.
He's basically saying, look, it's like a law of nature. There can't be two rulers on the throne. And Nas himself later confirmed, yeah, that was aimed squarely at Biggie's claim to the New York crown.
And crucially, again, no names mentioned.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of this whole conflict, the sophistication. You had to be in the know.
Totally.
You had to understand the context, the hierarchy in New York rap, to even catch that it was a shot.
Yeah.
It relies completely on subtext, on insider knowledge. That's like the hallmark of high-level lyrical battle.
Oh, and Biggie. Well, Biggie Smalls was definitely not the type to just let a challenge like that slide, especially not a challenge to his authority in New York.
No way.
So he hits back hard on Kicking the Door from his 97 album Life After Death. And he doesn't just respond, he tries to completely dismantle Nas's right to even be in the conversation for the title.
Okay, let's dig into that response, because lyrically this is just brilliant. Again, no names, but the line everyone points to.
Your reign on the top was short like leprechauns.
Explain that one. Because it's got layers.
Oh, it's got layers. It's not just calling his reign short, which dismisses Illmatic's impact as, like, temporary, fleeting.
Right, like it was just a moment.
Exactly. But then adding, like, leprechauns, that does a few things. It implies Nas's success is small, maybe insignificant, possibly mythical, not even real. And maybe even plays on, like, a stereotype, these little elusive figures from folklore.
Almost childish, maybe. Flimsy?
Yeah. It's a total lyrical putdown, designed to just erase Nas from the top tier without needing any explicit threats or anything crude, pure wordplay assault.
The message is crystal clear.
Yeah.
Biggie's not just saying he's king, he's saying Nas was like a blip.
Yeah.
A fairy tale.
Yeah.
And the real ruler is back.
Yep.
But here's where the story takes that just incredibly tragic, haunting turn.
Yeah. So Biggie finishes Life After Death. The album's ready to go. And then March 9th, 1997, he's murdered in Los Angeles.
Unbelievable.
And his album, Life After Death, containing Kicking the Door, that definitive response to Nas, it gets released just 16 days later, March 25th.
Think about that. Biggie's final, powerful statement in this whole sophisticated debate. Yeah. His last word asserting his dominance. Everyone hears it, Nas hears it, only after Biggie's gone.
It just freezes the whole rivalry right there in this state of, like, permanent, unresolved tension.
Yeah.
Nas, who was the target of Kicking the Door, he can never respond directly to Biggie again. There's no comeback possible.
What did that do? The effect of his death on this specific rivalry.
Well, it immediately elevated Biggie, obviously, to this legendary status. But specifically for the rivalry, it just stopped it cold, made it incomplete. Any possibility of more versus escalation, maybe even eventual reconciliation down the line.
Gone.
Instantly gone. The mic on one side just went silent. Forever.
So let's jump forward a few years. 2001, Nas is dropping Stillmatic, a huge comeback album for him. Most people remember it for Ether, right? The track aimed at Jay-Z.
Yeah, the nuclear option against Jay-Z. That's a whole other deep dive.
Definitely. But what sometimes gets missed on Stillmatic is that Nas kind of used that moment to deal with some unfinished business regarding Biggie.
Exactly right. On the track Last Real and Alive, Nas finally explicitly breaks the silence about that whole unspoken thing with Biggie.
How does he do it?
He basically just confirms the timeline, confirms the tension was real, but he does it respectfully, acknowledging Biggie's legacy while also setting the historical record straight about their competition.
He's documenting it, and the line is, yes, rhetorically right.
Yeah, he just puts it out there to the listener, who you think Kicking the Door was for.
Wow. So direct, finally.
Yeah, and it wasn't like he was trying to diss Biggie again years later. It felt more like historical acknowledgement. Nas basically saying, yeah, I knew that track was aimed at me, that competitive thing between us. It was absolutely real.
And that's so important, that documentation, for hip-hop history.
Crucial. It confirms this wasn't just fan speculation or internet rumors years later. It was a genuine competitive dynamic between arguably the two greatest New York lyricists of that generation. And it really highlights how different this rivalry was, this Brooklyn versus Queens thing, compared to, say, the Biggie versus Tupac conflict, which became so personal, so volatile, so public.
So if we zoom out, connect this to the bigger picture.
Yeah.
This Biggie Nas thing, it really stands out, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It was primarily about the symbolic crown, King of New York.
Absolutely. You can break it down. One, it was subliminal. It relied on wordplay, metaphor, double meanings, rewarded you for listening closely, for knowing the scene.
Two, it was competitive, not personal, or at least primarily competitive. It seemed driven by the desire for the title, for that top spot, more than like genuine hatred. There seemed to be underlying respect, even with the tension.
Yeah, I think so. And three, it was deeply rooted in regional pride. It was Brooklyn, Biggie's turf, versus Queens, Nas's home base, a classic New York borough battle playing out lyrically.
It kind of proves that the whole battle for supremacy didn't need all the external drama or, God forbid, violence.
Right. It could be won, or at least fought, purely through artistry, through being the better MC. It actually elevated the art form, didn't it? It pushed both of them to be even sharper, even more creative lyrically, just to try and outdo the other guy.
So, wrapping this up, what's the main takeaway for you, the listener? I think that Biggie Nas beef really showcases competition in its maybe purest hip-hop form, where lyrical skill, that craftsmanship we talked about, was the ultimate weapon.
Yeah.
And both of them, through this rivalry, even with its tragic end, they just left these indelible marks on hip-hop, cemented their places as absolute titans.
And it's interesting, the whole premise was there can only be one king. That was the driving force.
Right.
But when you look back now and you see that Illmatic and Ready to Die are both universally considered these monumental all-time great albums, it makes you wonder, maybe the competition itself was the point? Maybe New York was big enough for two kings ruling in different ways? Their rivalry just pushed them both towards that level of perfection.
That's a great thought. Okay, so here's one last thing for you to maybe chew on after this deep dive. If Biggie's death hadn't happened in '97, if that rivalry had continued, escalated, maybe Nas did respond directly to Kick in the Door with Names.
Right.
Would that sustained, lyrical, sophisticated approach, could that have set a different standard for how hip-hop beefs played out? Or, was the trend towards more explicit, more direct, maybe even more confrontational conflict already kind of inevitable by then?
Interesting question. What path would it have taken?
Yeah, something to think about. Anyway, thank you for sharing your sources and letting us dive deep with you on this one.